Okay, so we got a lot of kids that came in today. They're hammering away at signs. Not to insult the work, but I mean, I think you and I know, you and I probably could have built all 6 of those signs in this amount of time. So what's the value in having these kids come here doing something that you could do quicker and faster?
So today we have a bunch of groups here as a part of this whole event. I'd say in the realm of 40 to 45 people, and what they're doing today is building wilderness boundary signs, wilderness portal signs, and I acknowledge, as the person who's sort of putting this whole project on, that this kind of work could be done by people who know what they're doing in probably the same amount of time, building 6 wilderness boundary signs, but I think the real value in having volunteers do this, and especially youth volunteers, is to give them some sort of ownership over the work that's being done. What we could have easily done is, before coming to this event, having the intent of having them install these signs, we could have built them in our wood shop back at the Ranger District office, but to have them build it, have them put in the work to peel the posts of the bark, kind of measure out where the sign should be on it, and be a part of that conversation and dialogue at building the portal sign. I'm hoping that'll give them some sort of feeling of connection to it, that if they come and recreate in these areas after they've been installed, they'll see that portal sign and go, wow, I played a part in being a steward of this area. I can see the result of that work here before me as I go into the wilderness, and now it means a lot more to me. It means, it's kind of that feeling that I hope most stewards get out of the work that they do in wilderness, but it's a very tangible, physical, big thing that they can look at and show their friends, and it might have more of an impact on their memory of this experience to have done that, rather than, you could get the same idea from building a water bar that's really great, but it doesn't have that same impact of importance almost. It is really important to do that kind of trail maintenance, but yeah, building a portal sign, that's so public and so kind of in your face, in a good way, that when you see that and when you take part in making that, I think it really binds the positive feelings of stewardship to a really tangible memory that you can actually revisit pretty often and will be here forever. And so, yeah, we could have probably built those signs in the same amount of time, but I think that the impact of having a large group like this, everyone getting their hands on it, is a lot greater. And this is twofold. Stewardship is used to improve and protect and preserve wild places, and in this case, designated wilderness. But I think it should also reflect back on the people who do the stewardship and leave some sort of lifting, enlightening, positive, emotional response to doing that kind of work. So stewardship shouldn't always be about gimme for the organizations that are coordinating it and asking for it for good reason, for wilderness, but it should also be an opportunity to give back to the people who volunteer their time to be stewards. So I think having all these people build these signs is that. It's our way of giving back to the people who give to us.
Sometimes I'll just ask a question. If it's the same answer you've already given, you don't have to make up a different one. Okay. But sometimes phrasing things different ways, people will jog their memory in a different way. But why does the public need to be involved? If someone gave you $1 and you can go do all this work, what's the value of letting the public know that these places exist or whatnot?
So having stewardship volunteers that come from the public is something that I think is really valuable. I'm being paid to come out here and do these similar kinds of work, and that is really meaningful to me. But I was somebody a member of the public, who already had a pretty vested interest in outdoor places, and that's sort of how I got tracked into this line of work. But to involve more members of the public, to have this sort of work be present and available to people, more people than just the people who have the benefit of being funded to do it, I think is a really excellent opportunity to get more people interested in this kind of work. So maybe you start out as a volunteer because your friend has an interest in being outside, and you really didn't know about wilderness or you didn't really have that interest in being outside, having that volunteer experience, I think, is a really great way to sort of spread that love of outdoor places and spread what I think is a very necessary cultural aspect of wanting to do stewardship. I think through volunteer experiences, through involving the public, we spread that cultural trait and instill that desire by establishing a personal relationship with wild places, with the outdoors, through volunteer experiences. So really, I think that's the long and short of it. Involving the public in doing volunteer projects and that kind of thing really just spreads that want and will to do stewardship to more than just the people who are lucky enough to be paid for it. And hopefully, if enough people are impacted by that, they can use their love and will to protect in more of a legislative way, or maybe not necessarily working directly in the resource sort of way like I am, but working through advocacy, working through bringing other people that they know into this whole volunteer experience to kind of make changes by having that personal relationship. So I guess I already summarized, but to summarize it again, it is the public, it is the masses that benefit from these places, but also really have the sway as a group to have these places, more of these places designated, to keep those places that are already designated protected, and to ultimately volunteer their time as stewards. And so I think that is really the benefit of involving the public rather than only involving people who are paid for it.
What are you going to talk to them about in a couple minutes when you speak?
So in a couple minutes I'm going to be talking to the group and giving them a couple of explanations. One explanation is what I am. I've kind of said wilderness ranger, but that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So kind of giving them the nuances of my job and maybe as a possible inspiration for what they might want to work towards in the future. And then also sort of enlightening them as to the role of the partnership. We've mentioned in this event a bit partnership and how we value it. But I want to kind of bring to the table the NGO side of that partnership and how we believe as two members of this partnership that is beneficial to work collaboratively instead of trying to use these resources that want to go towards the same thing individually with each other.
Cool. All good. Thank you.
Yeah.